In my previous video, I converted Britannia-class Firth of Clyde to DCC using a Hornby TTS sound decoder. Now I'm going to attempt adding lighting, firebox glow or flicker, front lights and cab lights. This is possible using the TTS decoder. I'm showing how I did it, which is maybe not the best way, and it may be a little crude for purists. This diagram comes from Hornby's guidance sheet for the TTS decoder. For the front headlights, they can be operated by pin 6 front light on function 1, so they only come on when the engine is moving forward, so I understand. For continuous lights, the cab light and firebox flicker, we can use pin 3 operated by function 18. And we need to use the pin 7 for the common return, which is actually positive. Here's the DCC plug turned up to show where I have to solder the wires to. It's a mirror image of the diagram. Here's the blue common, there, the white for front headlights, and that will be green there for continuous lighting. Here are the LEDs I'll use. I got them from the electronic repair store on eBay at good prices, so let's test them. And that's the orange flicker glowing so brightly in the camera. Red flicker. Now the white one that I'll use for cab lighting and the front headlight are actually for 9 to 12 volts, but on this 3-volt battery it still lights up. Hot head coat to put on the front of the locomotive. This picture compares the Hornby model with a colour picture from the Observer's Book of Railway Locomotives of 1957. They're quite similar, so good representation from Hornby there. You can see 3 white uprights on the picture. These are where the headlamps would be placed. Only the top one can be seen on the Hornby model. These diagrams and description are taken from the same Observer's book. It shows some of the head codes available. I was going to opt for ordinary passenger train, but it would be awkward to place an LED there because of the need to drill partly through the thick plastic roof of the local body. So I'll opt for express passenger service, where I can drill above the front footplate, above the buffer beam. I'm going to drill a 1mm hole in the front of the body. I'll then expand that to 3mm, but the pilot hole gives you a little bit more accuracy. You can see I've done one already before I started the video. So here we go with a 3mm drill. And for the other side, this time holding my finger a little bit further away. So just putting the LEDs behind the holes there, and actually they don't look too bad. Here is a view of the front LEDs from the body inside. They're connected in series, which does reduce the current from the decoder, but they're still bright enough. As they are 9 to 12 volt LEDs with an internal resistor, it's not necessary to put a further resistor in series unless one wants to dim them further. You'll also see I've bent the wires a little way off from the LED so as not to damage the LED. I used 2 pairs of tweezers to do this. Like so. So it perhaps looks a little crude. What could I do to improve this? Here is a much smaller LED intended for front rear lights of a diesel. These could be positioned more correctly where the headlight lamps would be, even perhaps sticking up through the footplate, and painted white to look a little more like the real thing. A little bit like this. I've made some holes now for the flicker LEDs and the cab light, so I'll fit those through there and connect those up now. I've decided to use these lights instead. They're from Dream Lixie 2009 on eBay. I'll just test them. You can see that's working fine. My 3-volt battery. If I can grab the red one, which we're not use, you can see that works too. So I'll fill in the 3mm holes I made and drill two 1.5mm holes instead. Here you can see where I've drilled the 1.5mm holes just behind the buffers. I've threaded the wires through the holes, and you can see there that the LED is sticking out, a little bit of white paint, and it shouldn't look too bad, a bit like an actual headlamp. Just for clarity, I've drawn a circuit diagram to show what I've done. You can see all the connections to the LEDs here. The blue common positive leading to all the LEDs, and the green negative to the cabin flicker, and the white negative to the headlamps. I've wired up all the LEDs and put them in place. I've taped up all the wiring in the body shell. So I'll put the boiler casing back and chassis on and take her out for testing. Here's the loco out for testing. So just check everything's still connected by putting the sound on, and it is. Guard's whistle, horn, and well, let's see if the lighting goes on. Well, the front two lights are working. Must admit, I'm amazed myself. Now let's see if the cab light and firebox flicker work. Actually, they do. I'm quite pleased with the addition of lighting as seen here. I hope the video has been useful, and thanks very much for watching.